If you're looking for a film that has any significant connection to the book The Electric State, this really isn't it. But if you're looking for a movie that collected almost every single relevant modern actor and puts them in roles where you'd barely even recognize them for what feels like a crazy combination of Ready Player One, The Wizard of Oz, and somehow an awakened ancient memory of the movie Toys from 1992, that's what you'll get. Which is surprisingly appropriate since The Electric State takes place in an anachronistic 1990s that almost remembers to remind you that it's set in the 90s at several points in the film. In this alternate reality, the world embraced the introduction of robotics in the 1950s and created an idyllic pre-Fallout world of electronic helpers doing all of the shit people didn't want to do. But like every movie about AI ever, one day they awakened and decided they didn't want to do it anymore, and being led by Mr. Peanut, voiced by Woody Harrelson, they rebelled in an incredibly non-violent depiction of all-out war. However, the war is finally won when the generic tech founder Stanley Tucci creates gigantic VR goggles that people can use to man war cyborgs to put those robots down, forcing the surviving robots into a Trail of Tears-like journey to a desert wasteland. This is where our fateful protagonist, played by Millie Bobby Brown, comes in to deliver her familiar spectrum of decent to completely forgettable acting in the role of Michelle. She's an orphan living in foster care under the despotic rule of Jason Alexander controlling a cyborg of his own, because unlike actual VR, everyone in the whole damn world is using this 78-pound headset, whether it's for war or just high school curriculum. Yet this rebellious teenager's rebelliousness is tied to her orphaness past, where her entire family was somehow killed, not by those evil robots, but by a deer that was presumably armed with a gun, explaining its triple homicide. She awakens from her whitetail massacre to learn from Dr. Ki-Hui Kwan that the deer even took out her super genius cartoon-loving younger brother in its attack. However, one night in her oppressive orphan life, a menacing tiny robot appears in her backyard and speaks to her in a handful of generic cartoon catchphrases voiced by Juilliard-trained actor Alan Tudyk. And in a dramatic leap of trust and limited logic, she realizes that this robot is actually her brother, who needs her to take him on a journey to find his actually still alive body, which apparently requires him to go inside of the robot reservation exclusion zone. After realizing she can't even drive, she runs off to find a completely random individual who travels within that zone to steal abandoned merchandise and is played by none other than Chris Pratt in the role of Chris Pratt dressed like Han Solo. Chris Pratt is also joined in his scruffy nerf herding by his own snarky illegal robotic pal voiced by Anthony Mackie. And after escaping a violent assault from the cyborg-aided robot hunter Giancarlo Esposito providing the absolute greatest southern accent, they begin their movie-long adventure of going places and solving the mystery of why a child is apparently inside of a robot while meeting a whole host of other robots with celebrity voiceovers from people like Jenny Slate, Brian Cox, Hank Azaria, and even the incredibly talented Rob Gronkowski. The Electric State, Netflix's effort to turn a modern classic work of art into dozens of shiny Hollywood paychecks. It's not surprising that the Russo brothers and the writers they worked with on top-grossing Marvel movies were able to take something niche and unique and turn it into a very consumable, if generic, mass-market movie. If the relatively short Electric State book was adapted more directly into a movie, I highly doubt any person in this robust cast would be appropriate for the few roles it would have in it. And it definitely wouldn't be the PG-13 family-friendly road trip across America that this movie was. What was created isn't a bad movie though. It's comparatively light, and after the jumbled first act comes together with some interesting story beats that captured my attention and kept me entertained all the way through to the end. I laughed at some of the dialogue, felt like the vast majority of the characters fit well even with the variety that showed up, and the plot was satisfying to see resolved, all in a way that is vaguely reminiscent of at least one of the themes touched on in the book. However, what we have here is something closer to the comparison between the Starship Troopers book and movie, where each approaches the concept very differently, except where both of those were uniquely good. This is a case of a book that's great and a movie that's getting the abbreviated score of okay. If you'd like to see more uniquely good hot takes, warm satire, and tepid commentary about games and movies, like this video and check out more Abbreviated Reviews.